So I am going to fit a Chinese diesel heater into my garage because here in Scotland it gets cold in the winter. Actually, here in Scotland it gets cold in the summer, but it gets particularly cold in the winter. So I bought this first. There might have been slightly too much wine engaged when I was buying it because I didn't read the instructions particularly, or the instructions, the product details particularly well, and turns out this is the 3 kilowatt version. And I thought, well, nope, sorry, 2 kilowatt version. And I thought, I don't think that's going to be enough. So then I went and bought this, which is allegedly an 8 kilowatt version. And you see it comes with a manual that says 258 kilowatts. Now, the internet seems to think that there's actually no difference between the 5 and the 8. They might be right. But even if this one here is 2.5 times hotter than this one here, then I think it's worth the extra, I think about 35, 40 pounds. So I'm going to sell this one. I'm just going to sell it for what I paid for it. I'll take the postage. I'll bear the cost of the postage. So I'm going to sell this, but I thought it would be useful to, or interesting, to see what the differences are between the two. So it's kind of an unboxing, but also a difference what you get for your money or your size. The first and most obvious thing when you open the box is you get what's actually quite a good manual with this bigger one. And you don't with this smaller one. Now that said, bear in mind that there's a lot of different sellers on Amazon, eBay and such likes, so given that this thing says 258 manual, there might well be some sellers where this is the manual that comes with it, so that's probably not something to get too het up about. So let's put the manuals to the side. The first thing you find when you open them up is that you've got yourself a fuel tank, and if you're wondering where the nozzle for the fuel tank is, it's inside. Then what you get is a cardboard box full of goodies and the main event. Now the cardboard box full of goodies is pretty much the same for both of them. So let's clear this stuff away and we'll have a look at what the cardboard box of goodies looks like. Okay, so here's the goodies. You get a plate, and that's going to go underneath the main heat exchanger engine type contraption. Now this is going to get hot because the exhaust, I think people are measuring the exhaust at somewhere between 200 and 300 degrees centigrade. So having this mounted on something that hopefully isn't going to catch fire is going to have to be a bonus. You get a heat output tube, and that's going to go in the front of the unit, and it's going to direct heat up your trousers or wherever it is that you want to get warmed up. It's not very long, so I don't know actually whether that's going to do us any good or not. You also get bits of exhaust. So this is going to go underneath the unit that you still haven't seen, and you get a nifty little 50cc moped silencer that's going to go on the end of that. It's not very long. I think where I'm going to mount it, which will be against a wall of the garage, this will probably be fine, and it can come down here and then out through a hole that I'm going to drill in the brick. So there's that. Its opposite number is this, and again you'll see, actually back to the plate, so the exhaust is going out one of these holes, and then you've also got the fresh air inlet is coming in as well, and they want you to have that going outside as well. I don't know how important that actually is. That was our silencer. And then you get what's technically known as a bag of bits. So one of the bits is an air filter that goes on the end of this. Whole bunch of Jubilee clips. Now the Jubilee clips that get supplied with these don't get a good write-up. So I bought myself some better, question mark, Jubilee clips. I also, while we're on the topic, I've also got myself some exhaust paste, because another problem that occurs with these apparently is that when this goes into the bottom of the unit, hot exhaust gases can escape. I mean, this is not exactly what you'd call perfectly cylindrical. So a little bit of exhaust assembly paste on that is going to do that, the power of good. I've also bought some fiberglass exhaust tube, and that I'm going to wrap around this to hopefully get the 300 degrees centigrade down to something less burny, scorchy. What else is in here? Various bits of plastic. Now, wiring loom, fuel filter, diesel obviously, and fuel hose. Now this is really important. So in this bag, which was the bigger of the two, they've supplied hard line fuel hose. One sec. In the smaller of the two units, they supplied what is effectively soft, squelchy fuel hose. Now, according to the internets, people who have been before me, the diesel pump doesn't like this squelchy stuff, as it does quite, harsh pumping, then it's contracting, and I don't know what's going wrong, but basically they don't like these. And I think the recommendation is that if your unit comes with some soft hose, go get yourself some hard fuel hose. And that's it. There's some other stuff in the bag, like some fixings and some cable ties, but other than the hard plastic fuel hose that's in here, this is pretty much the same for the smaller or the larger. Okay, so let's get to the main event, and the main event is the motor. So this is the 8 kilowatt, 5 kilowatt, bigger version, and of course this is the smaller version. And you can tell the difference because the bigger version is bigger than the smaller version. Underneath, they're extremely similar. You've got a gasket, you've got an exhaust, can't tell you which one is which, I'll need to check the manual. You've got an exhaust and you've got a cold air inlet. You also get the diesel fuel pump, and when I'm looking at these, honestly, they look exactly the same. So I'm not sure there's much of a difference there. What is different between the two, or certainly the ones that I got, and remember the bundles are going to almost certainly be different, is that on this smaller one I got this basic controller, on, off, hot, hot, cold, cold, fast, fast, slow, slow, something like that. Whereas with the bigger unit I got this colour LED display. I know it's not colour, it's because I've not plugged it in. But when it is plugged in, it will be colour, and it does things like tell you what the state of the glow plug is, the fan speed, the current temperature, the desired temperature. It allows you to set timers. It allows you to set the flow rate for the fuel, pulse rate for the fuel I should say, and all sorts of sexy stuff. Is that important? I don't know. I mean, honestly, this probably does the job, but this one definitely looks a bit sexier. The other thing that this does come with, which the more basic controller doesn't, is it's got a remote control. And I think what the remote control does is turn it off and on, change temperature. So I'm not going to use this for two reasons. One, where the garage is, this just isn't going to work. I'm not going to have line of sight to this unit, so this isn't going to be able to turn it on and off. But also, no disrespect intended to the manufacturer, this thing's going to be burning diesel and have a lot of really hot parts. And I want to be in the room while it's doing it. I'm not sure I want to trust that to some kind of remote control. Okay, the other difference between the two, size we talked about, but also weight. So I thought that this was quite interesting, that when I open this more detailed manual, one of the tables tells you the weights for the 2 kilowatt alleged 5 and alleged 8 as being 3.6 kilograms, 5.6 kilograms, and then bizarrely the 8 kilowatt one being slightly lighter at 5.2. So I'll tell you what, hold on to these numbers, 3.6 for the 2 kilowatt and 5 and a bit for the bigger ones. So some handy kitchen scales, and this smaller one is going to be 3.6 kilograms. Nothing could possibly differ from what the manual says. Oh, okay, 2.8, not 3.6, 2.8. Okay, well this bigger one, definitely going to be in the 5.6, 5.2 kilogram. 5.6, 5.6, 5.6. No, 3.8. Well, okay, so 2.8 kilograms for the smaller one, 3.8 kilograms for the bigger one. So all we can conclude from that is that bigger things are heavier and smaller things are lighter. There we go. So back to the other things that I'm going to employ that I've bought. We've already looked at the Jubilee clips, the exhaust paste and the exhaust bandage. So these are all optional, recommended but optional. You're also going to have to make some kind of incredibly heat-proof plate that this is going to mount on. I suspect sticking it on a wooden shelf is not going to end well. Now the other thing that is not optional is you need a power supply. So this is an Amazon special. I'm sure exactly the same thing is available from eBay or Alibaba or whatever. It's 230 volts in, although this one does 110 volts as well. And this is 12 volts out, almost. Now you'll see upside down here, we've got 12 volts right in here, this is a 12 volt one. So these are available in 12 volts, which most cars run on, or 24 volts, which most commercial vehicles run on. So this is a 12 volt power supply. We've got an earth, a neutral and a live, and then we've got 3 12 volts output and DC, and 3 0 volts or ground return there as well. Now the other things in here is this little adjuster, so you can adjust this to somewhere between 10 volts and 15 volts, and I've set this to 13.3. The reason I've done that is that your car, the battery in your car, is marked 12 volts, but actually a healthy battery kicks out 13.8 volts. Don't ask me why, they've always done that, but a 12 volt battery is actually 13.8 volts. So I've stuck this somewhere in the middle, called it 13.3, that seems good. We'll see how that does. I don't know whether it would honestly make a difference or not, but you need a power supply. Now the other thing of course is that you've got lots of incredibly dangerous electrical pixies jumping up and down here, and if you shake hands with one of these pixies then it's not going to go down well. And the other thing the pixies don't like is water. So I'm going to build a little shelf for this. I'm going to put a little cover over the top to keep my hands, small hands, the dog's nose, water away from it. And then you might think, wait, there's cooling holes, there's a fan, don't cover it, you fool. But remember, we've got 3 12 volt outputs, 3 0 volt outputs. So one of them is going to go to the machine. With the other two, I'm going to have a fan in the front and a fan in the back, 12 volt computer fans, and then get some air moving. So that's the plan. I'll check back next time for the actual fitting video, and no doubt I'll have finished this in July, just when it's getting hot, but we'll give it a shot. Thank you, bye.